sama waa ji nag yaa ngi bëgg a yàgg ci dëkk bi sa holiday yi gudd na lool sax.
vacances yi yàgg na waaye dama ne naa ñibbisi ci sama réew. investir.
wax nga dëgg sa saafara man maa ko yor jóge ñu dem topp ma.
ci sama waaj da ngaa bëri pexe de topp ma.
xam ngeen Gambia léegi dafa open. loolu moo waral global properties jóg. jaay la kër doo manqué courant doo manqué ndox da ngay am pool maanaam piscine sa disposition di nga am beach bi sécurité 24 hours. te soo bëggee investir aussi nga mën a investir sa réew jënd kër di ko louer. hôtel yi na xam baax na waaye nag am na gan yoo xam ni dañoo bëgg bu ñu ñëwee ci réew nekk à l'aise. nekk ci bërëb boo xam ne dañu am seen waañ bu ñu bëggee togg seen lekku dëkk dañu am seen salle bu mag am seen néegu bopp am seen lépp loolu yëpp ak global properties mën na nekk.
jërëjëf def leen ni man ñëw leen global properties ngeen jënd seeni kër aar seen ëllëg ak bu seen njaboot.
Are you a resident of France or its surrounding countries and still wondering how to send your packages to the Gambia? Or your properties got lost or have delay anytime you send them? French Touch is here to solve your problem. French Touch sends all kinds of goods except what cannot be fit in container. They don't only stop at sending, but they also sell goods like fridge, mattresses, good quality carpets, furniture and many more. Inata bullo jora on la karola ufanan kenna ma bebiye simento bije adadi ma na kenna ma nyulu mandanga liyo damba fanana de ikamoto ki anin ka wafi nin dadi ma fanana nyin tumo tuma yesandiro kenyilma ika wafi ma konopal ime batandi dunu sikala ye dokula so do milyan ko sobe yata bake ifon le kela bakaso samba fela la bungo kono French Touch fela sabateri ngale kiti sila bala kan gunjur birkama highway ise ka chanyo ya nino ninyin nombala alkami jeskiri.
Few minutes, you will be able to access the soft copy on our website moj.gm/downloads. moj.gm/downloads. It will be available on the screen for all to see. We shall now proceed to the next stage, which will be the pronouncement on criminal liability. Findings on criminal liability emanating from the Truth, Reconciliation and Reparations Commission. Following the conclusion of the Truth, Reconciliation and Reparations Commission, TRRC, and the submission of its final report to His Excellency the President, the TRRC's findings with regards to criminal liability for human rights violations and abuses are as follows. I might give members of the press time to move the microphones to.
Okay. He will read it, then I'll come back to do the next steps. So if you want he is going to read.
The TRRC's findings with regards to criminal liability for human rights violations and abuses are as follows. All the members of the junta, comprising Lieutenant Yaya A.J.J. Jammeh, Lieutenant Sana B. Sabali, Lieutenant Edward Singate, Lieutenant Said Haidara, Lieutenant Yankuba Ture, and Lieutenant Peter Singate, including their orderlies, Private Babu Kanjai, aka Njai Ponkal, JCB Mendi, Mustafa Ture, aka Churo, Lamin Marong, Lamin Sengo, aka Pasengo or Asin, Private Zakaria Dabo, Ensa Mendi, and Jali Madiso are responsible for the torture and inhumane treatment of Captain Mohamed Cham, AIG Ibrahim Chongan, and RSM Babuka Jeng at Mile 2 Central Prisons on September 6, 1994. 2. Sana Sabali and JCB Mendi are responsible for the torture of political prisoners after the 1994 coup, particularly O.J. Jallow. Yaya Jammeh also bears criminal responsibility for these crimes due to his failure as Commander-in-Chief to investigate and punish the perpetrators. 3. Captain Yaya Jammeh, Captain Sana Sabali, Captain Edward Singate, Captain Said Haidara, Captain Yankuba Ture, Captain Peter Singate, and Major Babuka Jata, together with their orderlies and security guards, are responsible for the torture and inhumane treatment of soldiers arrested and detained at Yundum Barracks on November 11, 1994, and also for unlawfully killing Lieutenant Jibril Sey, Lieutenant Abdullah Ba, Lieutenant Bakari Mane, aka Nyancho, Lieutenant Buba Jammeh, Lieutenant Momodu Lamindabo, Cadet Amadou Mbake Sila, Lieutenant Abdullah Dod Fall, Lieutenant Basiru Baro, Fafa Nyang, Sergeant Basiru Kamara, and E.M. Sise. 4. Captain Yaya Jammeh, Captain Edward Singate, together with the orderlies and security guards, including Alaji Martin and Lamin Senghor, are responsible for the unlawful arrest, unlawful detention, imprisonment, torture, and sexual violence of Sana Sabali and Saidu Haidara. Captain Yaya Jammeh and Captain Edward Singate are also responsible for the unlawful killing of Saidu Haidara. 5. Captain Yaya Jammeh, Captain Edward Singate, Captain Yankuba Ture, Captain Peter Singate, Private Alaji Kani, Private BK Jata, and Private Pa Aliu Gomez are responsible for the unlawful killing of Usman Koro Sise. 6. Captain Yaya Jammeh and his state guard personnel, including Alma Momane, deceased, Bubakar Ba, Musa Jammeh alias Malia Mungo, deceased, Sergeant Gomez alias Hitler, and Kausu Kamara alias Bombardier, were responsible for the persecution, sexual violence, and torture of PPP supporters, particularly O.J. Jallow, Hussein Unjai, and MC Cham, who were arrested, mistreated, and unlawfully detained at Fajara Barracks in 1995 and 1996. As leaders of the group that went to the breach, Edward Singate, Yankuba Ture, and Peter Singate are responsible for the tortures of scores and the murder of 2 UDP supporters around Denton Bridge in Banjul sometime in December 1996. Yaya Jammeh also bears responsibility for these serious crimes of unlawful killings, persecution, torture, and inhumane treatment of UDP supporters at the Denton Bridge in December 1996 due to failure to prosecute. Yaya Jammeh is responsible for the persecution of Gambian journalists between 1994 to January 2017 by unlawfully arresting, harassing, detaining, deporting, torturing, forcing them into exile, killing, and disappearing them. 9. Yaya Jammeh, former Vice President Aissat Tunjai Sedi, and heads of the security agencies, including Babuka Jata, former Chief of Defense Staff, Usman Baje, former Minister of Interior, Babuka Sow, former Crime Management Coordinator of the Police, and Mamadou Cisse of the PIU, along with Abdunjai alias Giri, Gorgi Mbup, Inspector Dabo, Modu Lamin Fati, Abdullah Ba, Modu Cham, Modu Gajaga, Corporal Lamin Kamara, Captain Wassa Kamara, all bear responsibilities for the killing of 17 civilians on April 10th and 11, 2000. 10. Yaya Jammeh bears responsibility for the killing of both Almamo Mane and Momodu Dumbuya. 11. Yaya Jammeh, Tumbul Tamba, Alio Jeng, Sana Manjang, Malik Jata, Manlafi Kor, Kausu Kamara, aka Bombardier, and Bailo are responsible for the killing of journalist Deda Haidara. 11. Yaya Jammeh, Usman Sonko, Tumbul Tamba, Suleiman Baje, and Bailo are responsible for the attempted murder of lawyer Usman Sila. 12. Yaya Jammeh, Tumbul Tamba, Malik Jata, Solo Bojang, Sana Manjang, and Alio Jeng are responsible for the killing of Dauda Nyasi. 14. Yaya Jammeh, Tumbul Tamba, Solo Bojang, Malik Jata, Sana Manjang, and Alio Jeng are responsible for the killing of Ndongo Bup and disappearance of Momodu Laminyasi and Bubai Sanyang. 15. The perpetrators of the unlawful killing of Haruna Jammeh and Jasaja Kujabi are Yaya Jammeh, Tumbul Tamba, Solo Bojang, Sana Manjang, Omar Jallo, aka Oya, and Alio Jeng. 16. Yaya Jammeh, Tumbul Tamba, Solo Bojang, Seni Jammeh, Yusuf Asane, Omar Jallo, aka Oya, Borakoli, Michael Korea, Sana Manjang, Michael Jata, Fansu Nyabali, Mustafa Sane, Ismaila Jammeh, and Alio Jeng are responsible for the unlawful killings of Daba Marena, Manlafi Kor, Ebolo, Alpha Ba, Alio Sise, Masi Jammeh, and Julia Mako. Yaya Jammeh and the Junglers, comprising Sana Manjang, Musa Jammeh, and Suleiman Sambu, are responsible for the killing of Kajali Jammeh, Yama Koli, Baidam, Sheikh Fal Paos Jeng, and 3 other unknown men suspected to be cattle rustlers. Yaya Jammeh is responsible for the unlawful killing of Sise Bujeling. Next, Yaya Jammeh, Omar Jallo, aka Oya, Pa Osman Sane, Mustafa Sane, Michael Jata, Fansu Nyabali, Malik Manga, Suleiman Sambu, Momodu Jaju, alias Rambo, and Nuha Baje are responsible for the unlawful killing of Baba Job. 20. Yaya Jammeh, Nuha Baje, Momodu Jaju, alias Rambo, Lieutenant Mustafa Sane, Staff Sergeant Malik Manga, Staff Sergeant Omar Jallo, alias Oya, Staff Sergeant Suleiman Sambu, Lau Jaju, and Suwandi Kamara are responsible for the murder of Suleiman Dao and Mahawa Cham. 21. Yaya Jammeh, Yankuba Baje, General Suleiman Baje, Major Nuha Baje, Captain Momodu Jaju, aka Rambo, Lieutenant Mustafa Sane, Lieutenant Michael Jata, WO2 Fansi Nyabali, WO2 Pasane, Staff Sergeant Amadou Baje, Staff Sergeant Suleiman Sambu, Staff Sergeant Malik Manga, Staff Sergeant Omar Jallo, alias Oya, Lieutenant Michael Korea, and Corporal Sekuba Jaju are responsible for the unlawful killing of Mahmoud Sise and Ibu Job. 22. Yaya Jammeh, Yankuba Baje, General Suleiman Baje, Lieutenant Colonel Noah Baje, Captain Momodu Jaju, alias Rambo, Staff Sergeant Omar Jallo, alias Oya, Staff Sergeant Malik Manga, Staff Sergeant Suleiman Sambu, and Staff Sergeant Sekuba Jaju are responsible for the unlawful killing of Ndo Cham. 23. Yaya Jammeh, General Suleiman Baje, and Borakoli bear joint responsibility for the killing of Ilo Jallo. 24. Yaya Jammeh, General Suleiman Baje, Nuha Baje, Mustafa Sane, Momodu Jaju alias Rambo, Fancy Nyabali, Omar Jallo alias Oya, and Suleiman Sambu are responsible for the murder of Mustafa Koli. 25. Yaya Jammeh, General Sol Baje, Sheikh Omar Jeng, Lieutenant Colonel Nuha Baje, Major Momodu Jaju, aka Rambo, Captain Mustafa Sane, Captain Michael Jata, WO2 Fancy Nyabali, WO2 Malik Manga, Staff Sergeant Suleiman Sambu, Sergeant Omar Jallo alias Oya, Staff Sergeant Amadou Baje, Major Sana Manjang, and Corporal Sekuba Jaju are responsible for the unlawful killing of Tumani Jallo and Abdullah. 26. Yaya Jammeh, Fode Bari, Salmina Drame, Lamin Baba Dinding Jobate, Mendy, first name unknown, Hari Sambu, and Samsudin Sa are responsible for the tortures and inhumane degrading treatment of Yaya Jammeh, Balo Kante, Balde, and Omar Damfa at the NIA headquarters in Banjul, and for the unlawful killing of Yaya Jammeh, who died at Mile 2 Central Prisons. 27. Yaya Jammeh, Tijan Ba, Baba Saho, Fode Bari, Usman Jallo, Salmina Drame, Usman So, Idrissa Job, alias Alaji Mo, and Sukuta Jammeh, deceased, are responsible for the torture of Lieutenant Omar Dabo and Ibrahim Abaro. 28. Yaya Jammeh is culpable, together with Omar Cham as his superior, for his failure to punish Omar Cham for the tortures that he committed against NAWEC staff between 2001 and 2003. 29. Yaya Jammeh and his band of junglers, including Manlafi Ko, Tumbul Tamba, Musa Jammeh, Michael Sankoria, Momodu Jaju alias Rambo, Noha Baje, Mustafa Sane, Malik Jata, Amadou Baje, Sana Manjang, Omar Jallo alias Oya, Noha Baje, Sekou Jallo, Solo Bojang, Borakoli, Alaji Matson alias Eyes and Ears of Yaya Jammeh, as well as the members of the panel, Fode Momodu Haidara, ASP Demba Sow, Lamin Cham, Abdullah Sow, ASP Malamin Sise, Corporal Boto Keita, the late Sergeant Seni Ndur, Yusuf Afai, Fali Jabang, Usman Bojang, CDS Langtombong Tambang, former CDS Langtombong Tamba, former IGP Usman Sonko, Alaji Martin, Baba Saho, and Fode Bari were responsible for the tortures of Bunja Dabo, Wasa Kamara, Yaya Dabo, John Pierre Mendy, Faring Sanyang, Momodu Babadi Sar, Momodu and Alio Ba, and civilians, namely Sheikh Omar Fall, the Marabu, Alio Job, Demba Dem, and Tamsir Jase. 30. Yaya Jammeh and Lamin Dabo, Idrissa Job alias Alaji Moore, Sheriff Wada, Babuka Jallo, Babuka Art Jallo, Samba Gajaga, Lamin Dabo, all the above NIA operatives, as well as Salifu Nyang and Boto Keita, police officers, are responsible for the torture of Keba Seka, an NIA operative, Sam Kambai, a soldier, Mumini Balde, and Kemo Conte. 31. Yaya Jammeh and panel members including Omar Koli, Luis Gomez, Yankuba Baje, Buba Beyai, Idrissa Job, alias Alaji Mo, Sheriff Gassama, Lamin Mane, Sukuta Jammeh, deceased, from the NIA, Lamin S. Sanyang, Sergeant Senundur, deceased, and Lamin Cham from the Gambia Police Force, Lieutenant Bora Koli, Solo Bojang, and Jere Gomez from the Gambia National Army are responsible for the torture and fabrication of evidence against Lieutenant General Lang Tombong Tambang, CDS, Abdullah Ali Juf, Yusuf Ezidin, alias Rambo, Brigadier General Omar B. Mbai, Lamin Bobaje, Major Kausu Kamara, alias Bombardier, Deputy Inspector General of Police, Modu Gay, and Jibril Ngor Seka. 32. NIA officers Lamin Dabo, Basiru C, Alassana Balde, and Jibril Kanyi are responsible for the torture of Amadou Jogo So, Seydou So, and Abbas, last name unknown. 33. NIA officers Basiru C, Alassana Balde, Jibril Kanyi, Aliou Soumare, and Lamin Dabo are responsible for the torture of Sadio Toure. 34. Sana Manjang, Modu Jaju, and Malik Jata, and Fali Jabang, all junglers, were part of the group that tortured Lamin Bojang during the Freedom newspaper saga. Modu Jaju, alias Rambo, and Sana Manjang are responsible for the torture of journalist Lamin Cham during the Freedom newspaper saga. 36. Yaya Jammeh, Tumbul Tamba, Kausu Kamara alias Bombardier, Bailo, Musa Baje, Landing Tamba, Sana Manjang, Solo Bojang, Malik Jata, Alio Jeng, Omar Jallo alias Oya, Lamin Sila, and Buba Jallo are responsible for the murder of the West African migrants. 37. Yaya Jammeh is responsible for the rape of Fatou Jallo alias Tufa. 38. Yaya Jammeh is responsible for the sexual abuse of protected witness DB18. 39. Usman Sonko is responsible for the several rapes and torture of Binta Jamba. 40. Yaya Jammeh bears responsibility for the rape of protected witness FB17. 41. Yaya Jammeh and Dr. Tamsir Mbo are responsible for the deaths of 41 HIV/AIDS patients who died as a result of their fake treatment program. They are also responsible for the sexual violence committed against the victims, which was part and parcel of the treatments administered. 42. Yaya Jammeh, Solo Bojang, and Sekou Jallo bear responsibility for the deaths, sexual violence, torture, and other inhumane acts and persecution committed against the persons they accused as being witches or wizards during the president's witch hunt exercise. Yaya Jammeh, Sol Baje, and Solo Bojang are responsible for the unlawful execution of 9 Mile 2 death row inmates. Finally, Yaya Jammeh, Yankuba Baje, erstwhile DG of NIA, Sheoma Jeng, and Tamba Masire are responsible for the torture and persecution of the UDP supporters in April 2016. In line with Section 19, Sub 1 of the TRRC Act, any adversely mentioned individual who has previously appeared before the Commission and made a full disclosure of his or her involvement in human rights violations and abuses and has expressed remorse is hereby granted a period of 14 days to apply to the Commission for amnesty. 3. The Commission shall within a period of 6 weeks review all applications for amnesty and provide a report to His Excellency the President accordingly. Where the Commission refuses an application for amnesty, it shall give reasons for its refusal in writing to the applicant and any other person who in relation to the offense is a victim. In line with Section 19, Sub 3 of the TRRC Act, amnesty shall not apply to acts which form part of a crime against humanity. The above findings are without prejudice to any future prosecution, but in the interim, the adversely mentioned individuals continue to benefit from the presumption of innocence. The government will continue its review of the TRRC report as well as any recommendations for amnesty and shall issue a white paper on or before the 25th of May 2022. Signed, Honorable Dauda A. Jallo, Attorney General and Minister of Justice, 24th of December 2021.
Thank you very much, Council, for relieving me the responsibility of having to read that long list of findings and recommendations with respect to criminal liability of certain individuals. At this stage, and like we said, the report will be publicly available, if not already available, on our website very soon. You will see that the truth for which the TRRC was assigned to unearth is now lying bare before all of us. I think what is left now is the other aspects of the TJ process, which is reconciliation, reparation, and justice. I can assure you that the government of the Gambia, like I said earlier in my introductory statement, is committed to implementing the recommendations of the report. Of course, subject to the outcome of the study that is underway and the publication of the white paper. In the meantime, some of the next steps that we're doing includes trying to set up a successor sort of an institution or an organization that will be administering and managing a victims compensation fund that government intends to set up very soon. We will set up the fund and we will set up a body of individuals that will manage the fund, and this will be done through statute so that they are independent. They will carry out their mandate without any interference from government. We are aware of the fact that the TRRC have started implementing some reparation in the form of monetary compensation, but we are also aware that this is not adequate and it has not covered all the victims as well. So reparation will be an ongoing activity, and this body that we are about to set up will continue to do that. I have said in, I think, one or two earlier public statements I have made earlier, that this new budget, national budget, that the government will be implementing, and I'm happy my colleague, the finance minister, is here, from January 2022, some amount of money have been put aside in the national budget in the excess of over $150 million, earmarked to kickstart this reparation component of the recommendations of the TRRC. So we will set up a victims fund and a management body that will manage that. We also already set up a working group within the ministry, which will very soon be joined by at least 2 experts, local and an international expert, to support that working group to carry on the study of the report and advise government and assist government as well in the drafting of the white paper. So that is also on the way. With respect to the justice component, it's important that I re-echo partly what Council was saying, and I elaborate a little bit. I don't know whether the media will have some questions in this direction. The amount of material we received from the Commission is huge in the form of transcripts and other material. These recommendations that you have had, that some people are culpable and are liable for some of the crimes that have been mentioned, we have not dissolved the Commission for a good reason, because there are residual activities that the Commission under their mandate are yet to accomplish. And this includes receiving applications from people that have already been recommended for prosecution, but may be entitled to some form of amnesty. So I am giving 14 days from today. Anybody whose name has been mentioned and is suspected of having committed any of these atrocities, and you think you are entitled to some form of amnesty, you are required to apply within this 2 weeks period to the same commission, the Truth, Reconciliation and Reparation Commission. They may not be holding any public session, but the commission is still in place. So you submit your application to them. It is the commission that will review these applications and recommend. They would not necessarily grant you amnesty, but they would recommend to the government, in their view and their objective assessment, whether or not you are entitled to any form of amnesty. Then government will act on that recommendation and decide who to grant amnesty or not, depending on the recommendation we are going to receive from the Commission. So there is a little bit of window of respite still available for people to take advantage of. For the rest, like I stated in that statement that was just read, they will continue to benefit from the presumption of innocence, and work at the Ministry of Justice continues. We will be studying all the material evidence we have received from the Commission, and on a case-by-case basis, on a recommended charge-by-charge basis, we are required to come to a determination as to whether we have got sufficient materials to proceed with the charges in the event government decide to charge anybody. And for some, clearly, the Commission have even recommended that further investigations are required. And in those cases, we will be carrying out further investigations. But in situations where we've got sufficient evidence and the person is not benefiting from any kind of amnesty, of course, justice will take place. There are issues surrounding the issue of the justice component, that is, who will be tried, where would they be tried, and which court, is it Gambia, outside of Gambia, and so on and so forth. But I can assure you, we are clear in our head as to what is the sense of direction, and we are working closely with our partners in this direction. And very soon we will reach a determination as to what suits our context. So there are challenges, but we are aware of them, and we are working towards surmounting those challenges. So none of the challenges will be a bar to justice. I think I would summarize it that way. There are challenges, but each and every challenge is surmountable, and we will do everything that is possible. All that I will urge the public at this stage is the expectations are high, and this can be expected, but we need to continue to exercise restraint and exercise patience. These things are processes, and sometimes they take time. You heard me say the TRRC had over 100 days of hearing. They have seen over 390 witnesses. Now, a material that has been gathered over 800 days from over 390 witnesses. My ministry had 6 months only to dig into all of that material and come to a determination. But we are grateful. We are getting a lot of support from our development partners, and we will do it. By the end of the 6 months, and 5 months from now to be specific, because 1 month is gone, we will come up with a white paper. And this white paper is the one that will inform the public what is the position of government. So at this stage, probably we will invite some questions from the media. I will attempt to clarify them for you and answer them, and then we will draw the curtains. I don't know in what order will that be. Barrister, you're not in the hall here, but I have the privilege of, oh, you're here. All right, so let's have some questions.
If you call the people you want to ask questions.
Well, if you want to ask questions, let me see you and then you identify yourself. Yes, who are you?
Just before we start.
Okay.
I just wish to announce that the full report is currently available for download on the ministry's website. That's www.moj.gm/downloads. If you go to our Twitter page, the link is also available there, and it's available for immediate download of the entire report of the TRRC. Thank you very much.
At this stage, I would like to recognize the presence of His Excellency, the Senegalese ambassador, and the Qatari ambassador. They are with us here. You're most welcome. The diplomatic community, our bilateral partners, have been very supportive, like I said. So we recognize your presence. Yes.
Yes. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Minister. My name is Mr. Taylor from Ghana Online News. You talked about reparation and that it's not going to be enough. We've seen 1 million was provided to the victims of Favour. 1 million. And we understand that the maximum is 600,000 in this case. Maybe you can help us understand why this difference, and then most importantly, you said a lot about torture in your statement. How will such crimes, which may be a bit of a challenge, be taken forward, sir?
Thank you. Thank you very much. On the Favour, you will recognize, of course, as members of the media, that the Favour Commission and the Truth Commission are 2 different commissions. So, so their recommendation does not necessarily have to be the same. So, what I can say is the 600,000 that has been earmarked by the TRRC for those who lost their lives as maximum compensation. I do not know how the TRRC arrived at that figure, and I must say that is not a figure from government. I remember, you all know TRRC is an independent entity, so I don't know how they arrive at that figure, and that is why I emphasize in my statement that even the successor institution we will be setting up to take care of reparation, government will have to still have a hands-free approach. We are not going to interfere in that process. So that body will again still determine what they think is appropriate. All right. So this is not these are not amounts that are determined by government. So I would simply say I don't know why 600 and I don't know why 1 million in the earlier commission. But all I know is we are committed to compensating victims to the best of our ability and to what independent-minded individuals consider to be proportionate to the kind of suffering that they experience. But how that is determined, we will entrust that to the experts that will be given that responsibility. And on the issue of torture, I know where you're going to. Torture is not a known offense in our laws, even up to now as we speak. So your question is, would that not be a challenge to prosecution? Of course, these are some of the challenges I was trying to allude to earlier when I said the issue of implementing the justice component of the recommendations, there will be some challenges, but these challenges can be solved. The thing is, it is our domestic courts that would not have jurisdiction to prosecute torture, but torture is a customary international law. It is a jus cogens, anybody, most lawyers know this. So it has universal jurisdiction. By that we mean any country in the world can prosecute torture. So if it cannot be prosecuted in the Gambia, it doesn't mean it cannot be prosecuted. It can still be prosecuted. So the good thing about those kind of offenses, when you commit them, you don't enjoy immunity at all, because there will always be a willing country that will volunteer to host your prosecution and even to prosecute you. So there will be no safe haven for anybody that commits torture. It's not even only for this TRRC. This is universally accepted. Anybody that commits torture, it will be a matter of time when you will face justice one way or the other. So to answer you, in our own context, what we have in mind, how we can resolve that challenge could be, we can come up with an arrangement where we can have a court that will partner with an international body. And this could be what we would call the hybrid kind. And in that hybrid kind of arrangement, the court will still maintain and retain its domestic jurisdiction to deal with offenses that are purely domestic and are offenses on our domestic laws. But the court will at the same time also be able to hear and determine offenses that are international in nature, because it will be a hybrid court, so it can try both domestic and international crimes. That's one way of solving that, but there's another way. There's another way. You can even set up a fully international court that will deal with all international nature crimes. So, like I said, yes, it is a challenge at the moment, because technically, we will not be able to charge anybody for torture and arraign you before our High Court as it is now. Okay, so that is the challenge. But then there are alternatives to that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Minister, for that wonderful deliberation. My name is Lamin Cham of the Standard newspaper. I want to know, now that names have been mentioned to have been criminally responsible, according to the TRRC report, of people who continue to be in positions of senior responsibility in various government institutions. At first, when the issue as to who might have been mentioned in the TRRC adversely were mentioned, the government had said, well, you have to take time and wait, for the TRRC reports as to who might be responsible criminally. Now that some of names have been mentioned in the report to have been criminally responsible, and the continue to serve in the positions. What is going to be the attitude of the government, especially your ministry, in the cases of those people still continuing to be in senior positions and they are named here by the TRRC report who have been responsible criminally? Thank you.
Thank you. We will inform the public in due course regarding that. We are yet to discuss the report in cabinet. I can see you asking, for example, what will be the immediate administrative measures that can be taken while we await for the white paper, if I understand your question.
Exactly.
Yes, so we will be looking into that, and the public will duly be informed as to what is the position of government on temporal measures while we await for the actual white paper, which is due in 5 months' time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, sir. My name is Francis from Ghana. Some victims who have received the money from the TRRC, some of them have just received returned the money from TRRC. What is your concern about that?
Some of them have?
Some of them have received the money. They refuse to take the money from TRRC. What is your concern about that?
Well, the money was meant for them, and it was given to TRRC, and government was not interfering the way TRRC was going to administer that. So if they weren't happy, I don't know the reason why those who rejected the money rejected it. But like I said, we will set up a successor body to the TRRC that will continue to carry out that reparation component. I don't know, unless I know what was the reason. Definitely, I don't think I have any. I will be concerned generally to say why you didn't receive money, but is it because they don't receive money because they don't want monetary compensation for what happened to them? Because there are certain human beings who would say, no, I don't want the money. Probably I just want an apology, or I want this. I don't know why they are not taking the money, or do they consider it too small? But like I said, if for those of you who are thinking that the amount of money offered to you is too small, I'm telling you now that what TRRC is offering you might not be the end of it all. I mean, reparation and compensation is going to continue. And if another body determines that what TRRC has given you is not sufficient, then the difference will be paid. If they consider that what is given to you commensurates to the kind of violation you experience, either directly or to your loved ones, that will be determined by a body that is not going to be government. For us at this stage is to accept that government have a responsibility to compensate victims, and we are committed to that. But the implementation of it, we do not want to play a role in that. We will always entrust it to bodies that will advise government.
Yeah. Thank you. My name is Suleiman Seka. I'm the proprietor of Past Trading. And thank you very much, Honorable Minister, for a very good presentation that you did today, the 24th of December 2021. I understand you've already budgeted $150 million for compensation. I would like to know, how did you come to that figure? And I would like to advise the Commission or the Ministry or the Government of the Gambia that to give credibility to the TRRC, the state should come clear and give full account of the property seized from Yahya Jammeh and the over $1 billion or $20 million collected from the sales of Yahya Jammeh's assets, and use those funds and assets to settle the victims. I think this is the best way for national reconciliation and could bring lasting peace in our country. I take this opportunity to thank the Gambia government and all friends of the Gambia who stood side by side with the Gambian people through these times in our nation's history. While I look forward to a speedy reparation and final reconciliation, so I wish you all a happy and a prosperous new year. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The $150 million or over, because it's over that amount, I just want to be conservative with the figures, is not based on a determination of sufficiency. What we recognize as a government is compensation is going to be an ongoing process. We do not even know at the moment professionally what is adequate. Because like I said, government doesn't want to be the one that will be determining how much somebody should receive. So we do not have that professional advice yet, how much compensation is adequate. So it's a contingency budgeting that Ministry of Finance did. Just put money aside, and then once the fund is established, this money will be a seed money. But of course, at any point in time that we are advised that more is needed, government is committed to put money into the fund. And of course, we have development partners that are also committed to support in the fund. We have other sources where we know we can get money to put it in the fund. So for me, that leads me to your next point, saying the proceeds of the JAMMEH assets. I think what is important is victims to be assured of compensation, and this promise bears fruit. This is government. Where that money is going to come from, I don't think should be a big deal. When it is processually established that somebody is entitled to $1 million or 2 or 3, as long as government can pay that $1 million or 2 or 3, where government is going to get that money from, I don't think that should be a problem. Whether it's going to come from proceeds of JAMMEH sale, or whether it's going to come from the national budget, or whether it's going to come from a donor assistance, I don't think that should be a major point of concern. What should be of concern is government guarantees that when we are advised that victims are to be compensated this quantum, we are committed to ensuring compensation is done. I think that's much I can say what you have just raised. Thank you.
Sorry, one more please.
All
Hi,
right.
my name is Favour Balde. I work with Women in Liberation and Leadership. We're a women-led organization that have been working in the transitional justice. I am quite encouraged by the specific concentration on sexual violence. So I have a question and also an observation. First, with the observation, a lot of the people are talking about compensation in the form of monetary. We need to acknowledge that compensation doesn't always have to be monetary. We need to look at other forms of compensations that can be provided to victims, but also particularly female victims, to ensure that when we look at sexual violence, we look at what can we do to make sure that non-reoccurrence is concentrated on. How do we prosecute SGBV? We also, what happened when female victims came and testified because they were victims of SGBV? What are we going to do to reassure victims of SGBV that they will get justice? But also, how do we use the TRRC recommendations to empower women and girls in this country? That's what I wanted to just contribute.
Thank you. This is very useful. There's a lot of recommendation on issues of institutional reform, issues of other forms of reparations that will ensure that these things are not repeated again. What we are focusing more on this press conference is the criminal aspect and just making the report itself public. But of course, like I said, we are studying the entire report. And it's gratifying that we still continue to enjoy the partnership with a lot of organizations that are interested to work with government through these reform processes. So yes, there is a lot more that can be done other than monetary compensation. You are quite right. In fact, there are some people that would not even take monetary compensation for what happened to them. They would want to see other things, and that will be satisfying to them. So we are very mindful of that, and that's a very good reminder. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Minister. Thank you for the presentation. We thank the Commission for the work as well. My name is Sirandawa. I'm with the African Network Against Extrajudicial Killings and Enforced Disappearances. And what I would like you to speak on is exhumations. That has not been mentioned. Could you speak to that, please? Because families have been waiting for decades now to get the bodies of their loved ones. Thank you.
It is part of the recommendation. So we also have partners that are interested in supporting us in this direction. So, and these are some of the areas that where we even need further investigation, because there are certain disappearances that happen unless we do some proper investigations and exhume certain bodies. We may face some challenges in proceeding with some of those recommendations. So yes, it's within the report. We are mindful of it. This is an area that will require our further studies and partnership with expertise. We do not have the expertise in government at the moment for some of those things. But those that we can do, our position will be known very soon, especially if we are working in this area. Hopefully let me use this opportunity to invite you to engage the ministry in this direction so that we continue to work a way out of this. Thank you.
Advocating for someone else. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
It's Priscilla Cisse with WAVE. Thank you so much for the presentation. I think, as you said, we've all been waiting for this, and it's been quite enlightening and informative. Fatou Balde has talked on one of the topics I wanted to talk about, so I'll just ask about something. At this point, we know we're in a very polarized nation, in a state, and because of so many different issues. I mean, we even know that victims, on the one hand, are not really supported by others. I think you're quite familiar with the whole situation. What I wanted to find out in this respect is what plans are in place for national reconciliation and healing, and also in terms of state acknowledgement of responsibility. I believe it will come later, but just to keep your mind seized to the matter. Thank you.
Should I just add to the question so you can answer it? My name is Zainab Lo, I'm also with WAVE. I was just going to talk about the different mechanisms of reparations. A couple of months ago, the TRRC wanted to launch an initiative for memorialization to rename the arch, which was put on a hold. We don't know where that stands now. Does the government have the will to initiate a memorialization initiative? Because as we know, it's only ANECED that has started doing that, and CSOs are not equipped to continue that. So is the government going to launch or take that initiative to rename the arch to honor victims? Because like you said, not every victim wants money. And also, is the government also, adding to what Priscilla said, is the government also going to issue a public apology to the victims? Thank you.
Thank you. I understand your concern, but I wouldn't want to preempt the white paper. I wouldn't say anything to that. Allow us time to study the report. Our position on all of those issues will be known when we bring out the white paper. So yes, there are memorialization recommendations that are made, but you know we are studying the report. So I wouldn't preempt the government position. Government have not taken any position yet on any of the recommendation, and our position will officially be known in the white paper. Thank you.
Taylor from Gynaco. My question, sir, is regarding our West African brothers and sisters who were killed in this country. They are also victims. I believe over 100 million plus was, according to the TRRC, in their statement when they were talking about reparations. How about them, sir? And justice for them. Yes, sir.
Thank you. When we say reparation, when we say justice, it has no status. We don't wear it a national or non-national face. Anybody that was a victim of the regime is a victim. So our only characteristic is you're a victim. Your nationality doesn't matter. So they are victims. So whenever we say victims, they are part of what we are talking about in terms of reparation, in terms of compensation, in terms of justice.
Yeah, the reason is some of the victims here in Gambia have started receiving reparation. Now has the process, because we were told by the TRRC that will be dealt with government to government.
Okay, thank you. If it is in the report, if something different is recommended for them in the report, then we will deal with that, and our position on that will be known in the white paper. Anything that is handed over to us, contained in the report, the outcome of that you have to patiently wait for the white paper. So I wouldn't be able to say anything to that. The temporal compensation process that started at the TRRC was independent of government. Whatever they did not complete and handed it over to us, I will urge you, and through you, the members of the public, to allow us to go through the report, and our position on every single issue in the report will be known when the white paper is out. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Reggie. Any last words from you before we close?
No, except to return gratitude again to everybody that has answered to our invitation to grace this occasion. It was meant to be a bit brief, but I think we held you a little longer than we expected. But thank you again for being with us. And for our partners, we are available. Our doors are open. Work still continues. This is not necessarily the end. I think there's a lot more work ahead. And we continue to invite all of you. For the victims, I have always assured you I have an open door, and you know that. Keep coming to the office. Let's work together. Let's see how far we can go. Thank you very much.